Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that really touches nearly every family, every child, the increasing use of digital devices. I mean, we've all seen the explosion, right? Smartphones, tablets, TVs, computers. It's been huge over the last, 3 decades?
Absolutely huge. And look, the benefits are there. Connectivity, learning, entertainment, sure.
Definitely. But there's this growing list of concerns, too.
Exactly. And that's what we're getting into, those hidden costs, especially for children's developing vision.
Right.
Yeah, we're really going to explore how all this digital convenience is, well, quietly reshaping children's eyesight, particularly its role in this global surge of myopia and nearsightedness.
And not just eyes, you mentioned.
No, we'll also touch on some broader developmental stuff, too.
Sure.
Our main source for this is insights from Dr. Sarbjit Singh. He's an ophthalmologist, over 30 years experience, and he's seen these effects firsthand, these subtle but really significant tolls.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What jumps out immediately from the source is just the sheer scale of this myopia issue. It's not just, a few more kids needing glasses. It says myopia has reached epidemic proportions globally.
It's quite stark. The World Health Organization, they're projecting nearly half the world's population could be myopic by 2050.
Half. That sounds almost unbelievable, a staggering number.
It really is a profound shift. And what's insightful here from the material is how it's not just about your genes,
Yeah, right. I was going to ask about that. Genetics must play some role.
Oh, they do, absolutely. But the source really highlights how our modern environment is actively reshaping children's eyes.
Okay.
It points to two big things: prolonged near work.
So staring at things up close.
Exactly. Reading, writing, and especially screen use at close distances. It puts a real strain on the eye's accommodative system. That's the focusing mechanism.
Gotcha. And the second thing?
Limited outdoor activity, which is kind of the flip side, really.
Okay, so if near work is one factor, tell me more about this outdoor time element. How does that fit in?
Well, the research shows that natural light exposure and, just looking at things far away when you're outside are actually protective against myopia.
Protective. Interesting.
Yeah. And the source also notes something worrying. Kids who develop myopia younger, they're much more likely to see it progress rapidly.
Meaning it gets worse faster.
Exactly. And potentially leading to high myopia in adulthood, which brings significant risks for long-term vision problems.
And what's really alarming, thinking about this near work, is how early kids are getting screens now.
Oh, incredibly early.
Our source mentions, iPads, calming toddlers, preschoolers with smartphones. It feels like their visual systems are being challenged in ways they just weren't, built for.
That's a good way to put it. Evolutionarily unprepared.
So what are the signs, the common visual symptoms we should maybe be looking out for, like an early warning?
Yeah, the common ones are things like eye fatigue, maybe dryness, blurred vision, especially looking far away after they've been on a screen for a while.
Headaches.
Headaches, definitely. Difficulty concentrating, too. You might even notice them blinking a lot more or rubbing their eyes. Things you might easily dismiss, maybe. That's the danger. They're often dismissed as just temporary. But the material stresses these could be early signs of digital eye strain, or something called accommodative dysfunction.
Yes.
Basically, the eye's focusing muscles get kind of overworked or stuck. They struggle to adjust properly. And that dysfunction can actively push towards developing myopia.
Wow. Okay. And then it gets even more interesting, or maybe worrying, when we look beyond just the eyes. This deep dive shows the effects of screen overuse go further, right? What other developmental concerns pop up?
Yeah, the source points to several quite serious ones. Links between excessive screen time and delayed language development.
Really? Language?
Also, reduced attention spans, which many parents probably notice, and impaired social skills.
Makes sense if they're interacting with a screen instead of people.
Precisely. And then there are the sleep disturbances. That blue light exposure messing with our natural body clocks, the circadian rhythms.
Right. The sleep thing is huge.
It is. And these developmental issues can actually feed back into the vision problems. If kids are more sedentary, less likely to play outside.
They get less of that protective outdoor time.
Exactly. It becomes this kind of negative cycle, increasing the myopia risk even further.
It does make sense that kids would be more susceptible. Their bodies are still developing, like you said. Is it fair to say our eyes just haven't really caught up with the digital age? Are we kind of fighting our biology here?
In a way, yes. That's a core point.
Right.
Children's eyes are fundamentally still developing.
How so, specifically?
Well, their crystalline lens, the lens inside the eye, is more flexible. And the eye itself is still growing the axial length. That's the front-to-back measurement.
Okay.
And those factors make the eye more prone to elongating, stretching, which is the physical change that causes myopia.
So they're just more vulnerable.
More vulnerable, yes. And the source adds other reasons, too. Kids often hold screens much closer than adults do.
True.
They might not recognize or be able to tell you they're feeling visual discomfort, and their visual habits are still being formed, so early exposure can really shape those habits long term.
Okay, but amidst all this concern, our sources do highlight something consistently positive, this protective effect of outdoor time.
Yes, that's one of the strongest findings in myopia research.
It seems almost too simple, doesn't it? When we're looking at screens and tech, the answer is go outside. How does the natural light actually help?
It's fascinating, really. Connecting it back, natural light seems to stimulate dopamine release in the retina.
Okay.
And that dopamine appears to inhibit that axial elongate, the eye stretching that leads to nearsightedness.
So it slows down the progression.
That's the theory, yeah. Plus, just being outdoors naturally encourages looking at distant objects, not close-up screens, and physical activity. Both good for the eyes.
Like nature's prescription.
Kinda, yeah.
So the practical advice then. The material gives some solid recommendations.
It does. At least 2 hours of outdoor play daily is a key one.
2 hours. Okay. And for screen time itself?
Limiting recreational screen time.
Yeah.
Not for schoolwork to under 1 hour for children under 5.
Under 5. Under an hour. Got it.
And then there's that great rule for all near work, not just screens. The 20-20-20 rule.
Ah, yes. I've heard of this every 20 minutes.
Look at something 20 feet away.
For 20 seconds? Simple, but probably hard to remember.
It takes practice, but it gives the focusing muscles that little break they need.
Right. A mini reset for the eyes.
Exactly. And beyond those daily habits, the source also offers some really practical tips for parents, for educators, things they can do right now. What are some of those?
Yeah, the deep dive lays out 5 pretty concrete actions. First, create screen-free zones.
Okay, like where?
Especially bedrooms. Definitely during meals. Times and places where devices are just off limits.
Good one. Makes sense. Number 2.
Model good behavior. Kids copy us, right? So if we're glued to our phones...
They'll think that's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, limit our own screen time. That's a tough one sometimes.
Tell me about it. Third, use larger screens when possible.
Ah, so a tablet or TV is better than a phone.
Generally, yes. For visual ergonomics, you tend to hold them further away.
Okay.
Fourth, adjust the lighting. Avoid using screens in really dark rooms.
Yeah.
And try to reduce glare on the screen.
Right. Don't make the eyes work harder than they need to.
Exactly. And finally, number 5, schedule regular eye exams.
Crucial. Catching any issues early, whether it's needing glasses or something else, is key.
Absolutely. Early detection makes a huge difference.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? Are screens inherently bad?
No, and the source is clear on that. Technology itself isn't the enemy. It's how we use it that matters.
Right.
The goal isn't, eliminating screens entirely. That's probably impossible anyway.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating mindful, balanced usage.
A balanced digital diet. I like that.
Yeah.
And as caregivers, educators, health professionals, it feels like we have a role to advocate for that balance, prioritizing not just their sight, but their cognitive development, their emotional well-being too.
Definitely. This digital age, it's brought amazing things, truly remarkable advancements, but it's also thrown up these new challenges, especially for the youngest generation. Protecting children's vision today, it really feels like an investment in their clarity, both visual clarity and maybe cognitive clarity for their entire future.
Well said. Something important for all of us, for you listening, to consider as you navigate your own digital world and help your kids navigate theirs.